What will be the highest grossing movie of 2026? Let's find out. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today, I've got a big old tier list prediction ranking as I have the 25 biggest movies coming out this year, and I'm going to be predicting how they're going to perform at the box office. But before I get into this, hit that like button, comment down below your box office predictions for all these movies. What tiers would you place them in? And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 200,000 subscribers here on the channel. I mean, quite a bit. And if you want extra content from reaction videos to extra live streams and more, Patreon is the place to be. Any support over there truly does mean the world. But I'm looking at my tier list right now. I got 25 movies in order of release. They're the same movies that I had on my most anticipated tier list, which you check out linked up above if you have not already. But let's just do this thing. So the tiers I have are $1 billion or more, $800 million to $999 million, $600 million to $799 million, $400 million to $599 million, $200 million to $399 million, and $199 million or less. Again, these are all ranges of amounts of money that I think these movies could make at the box office. The first one we have here is Scream 7. It comes out late February. In fact, the Scream franchise has actually had a good run at the box office lately. The fifth film did around $130 million. I want to say the sixth film did around $160 million. So looking at this, I'm going to place this probably in the $199 million or less tier, but factoring in the budget, factoring in the slasher genre, that's a win for horror, and it's a win for Scream. With this movie featuring the return of Sydney, I think you could do around $150 million. I am interested to see if there's any backlash or fans boycotting this movie because they're not bringing back Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. I know there's a lot of online craze surrounding that news and sort of the production of this movie, but I'll be there to see it. I'm a fan of this franchise. It's probably my favorite horror franchise. I think it's consistently great, and so we'll see, but I think it's going to do around probably $150 million at the box office. The next one I've got here is Hoppers, a new Pixar original film. Pixar originals haven't performed that great lately, the most recent being Elio. It did in the $130 to $150 million range, I want to say. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one down there as well. I just think it does under $199 million, probably $100 to $120. I just think Pixar original films don't have as big of a draw box office-wise as they used to, and I think that's because Disney and Pixar kind of trained audiences to just be ready for when they drop on Disney+, which is a shame, but during the pandemic era, these movies were dropping on streaming the same day, so a lot of audiences were like, you know what? It'll be on streaming soon, or it might be there now. They don't even know. And so I'm like, you know what? $199 million or less all day. Next, we have Project Hail Mary. This is based on a very famous novel. It's directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. You got the star power of Gosling. Will it make bank? I don't think so. I think it does around, $150 million. A lot of movies nowadays don't make a ton of money at the box office just because audiences are very selective with what they go out and spend their hard-earned money on. I'm going to say this makes, again, $150 million tops, maybe close to 200, but I'm going to put it like right here in the middle of this tier. I think it doesn't even scratch 200 million, but for the budget, which I don't even know, I hope that's a win. I could see this underperforming slightly, though. I will say the trailer won me over. I'm excited for it. I haven't even read the book, but it looks pretty sick. I loved the use of Champagne Supernova in the trailer, that song by Oasis, but I just don't know if it's going to make all that much. And the same can be said here for Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. First movie did around like $58 million. You have to factor in the budget. That's a win, all things considered. I think this movie will do more because Ready or Not sort of developed a brand for itself in the horror genre. And I'll be there to see this, honestly, but I am going to put it at the back of this tier. I think of the movies in that list, it does the least. In fact, it might not even crack 100 million, but we'll see. I tell you what, though, a movie that's going to make bank and $1 billion easily, welcome to the $1 billion club, is Super Mario Galaxy. The Super Mario Galaxy movie, that is. It's a sequel to a $1 billion club film. The worldwide appeal for Mario, unreal. I mean, people go crazy for Nintendo and Mario specifically, and this movie has the opportunity to bring in other Nintendo characters and further expand this world, potentially leading to like a team-up of Nintendo characters on the big screen. It's making bank. $1 billion. Book it. I'm putting it up there right now, no doubt about it. The next movie on this list is Michael. This, of course, is the Michael Jackson biopic. Michael Jackson, a huge pop star, one of the biggest music stars ever. A lot of people out there think this movie's going to do $1 billion. I'm not on that train. I think audiences have gotten a little sick of music biopics lately. I mean, the Bob Dylan one kind of underperformed. Bruce Springsteen's didn't do all that great. I know Michael Jackson is certainly in a league of his own, and until we get like a Taylor Swift biopic, this could end up being the highest grossing. A reference point is like Bohemian Rhapsody, which I think did around $900 million worldwide, which is shocking. Queen is a mega band. Michael Jackson is a huge star. I'm kind of torn on this one. I'm going to go around the 600 million range, though. I think it does very well, makes a significant amount of money, and is the talk of the town, but I don't think it's going to transcend up into that $1 billion club level. I don't think it's going to make it that high. I think it'll be the talk of the town. It'll have a big opening weekend, but will the movie be well received, or will it kind of play out as your generic biopic? That's what's really going to separate it and see if it can have long legs and ultimately make $1 billion or not. Next, we have The Devil Wears Prada 2, a sequel I never thought we would get, but here we are, almost 20 years later. I'm not opposed to it. The first movie, I had to look it up. Guess what it did? Comment your guess down below. Over $300 million at the box office. What? Crazy. It's a very beloved film. It's got some romance, there's some humor, it works, and Meryl Streep's performance is iconic as hell. I'm gonna say this movie does about the same, if not a little less, than that original, so I'm gonna put it in the $200 to $399 million tier. I could see it matching the success of that first movie, just because it is like not a legacy sequel, but it's been, what, 20 years damn near, so there's a built-in audience. People are gonna come out and see this movie on the big screen. There's a lot of devoted fans of the original, so I could see it doing 250 to 300, so I'm pretty comfortable in putting it in that tier. Next, we have Mortal Kombat 2. I have not seen the first Mortal Kombat, but I know the first movie did the HBO Max release, I think the same day as theaters, so that automatically damaged, its box office potential. I don't know how I feel about this one, though. Honestly, guys, I think I gotta go 200 to 399 million with it. I'll put it in there right now. Mortal Kombat certainly has its fans, and I was never a big fan of the games. I never really got into them, but I know people out there are diehards. I just don't know if the appeal's there. It's been, what, 4 or 5 years since that first movie came out. Is there an audience for this? They kind of already delayed this movie. I don't know. I know they moved it to the summer. There's high hopes for it, but I think 300 million would be a huge win for it, all things considered, so I'm comfortable putting it in that tier. The next movie is a Star Wars movie. It's crazy to say we're getting a Star Wars movie in the year 2026, and no one cares. Kind of breaks my heart, honestly, but we got The Mandalorian and Grogu. I got a bad feeling about this one, guys. Not to be that guy with the Star Wars reference, but
oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
I think this one bombs. I think this is going to be the lowest grossing Star Wars movie ever. For reference, that is currently Solo: A Star Wars Story, which did around $392 million globally. I think this does 350 tops. The Mandalorian and Grogu interest is just not there. Season 3 of The Mandalorian was a dud. It's been 3 years since that came out. I just don't think the interest is there, and I don't think that the cuteness of Grogu is going to sell enough tickets. I don't know, guys. I'm feeling pretty low on this one. I'd go like 350 million. I'd put it like right in the middle. I'd say it makes the most of the movies in that tier right now, just because it is like a May release. It's Star Wars. Families will still go opening weekend, but I don't think there's going to be the rewatch value. And I think a lot of general audiences don't care about Star Wars anymore. It doesn't have the box office draw that it once did a decade ago, unfortunately, and that's just because the brand's been tarnished. Let's call it what it is. Next, we have Masters of the Universe. This, of course, is a film adaptation of the popular 80s franchise. I'm going to say this is going to have its built-in fans. I think it does right around 200, 250 million, so I'm going to put it somewhere in this tier. We'll go right here. It is like a classic beloved thing from the 80s, so of course there's going to be nostalgia there. There's going to be people who grew up with Masters of the Universe and He-Man that want to see this. I didn't grow up with this. I'm just now sort of getting familiar with it, but there is a lot to offer in this world, and there's some cool concepts here, and I have a feeling it could surprise us all and maybe be a surprise box office hit. I think 200 to 300 million, though, for that kind of movie would be a win in today's box office climate. Next up, we've got an original film from Steven Spielberg. If this came out in 2005, it'd probably do $500 million, but it is 2026, and unfortunately, we do live in the streaming era, so I don't think it's going to do as much as, say, a War of the Worlds, which I looked up. It did numbers back in the day. Crazy how that works. I think Disclosure Day does, I'll say 200 to 300 million. I'm optimistic, and that'd be a win for an original Spielberg film nowadays. I'm going to put it like right here in the middle. I got a weird feeling with it being the June release with the Spielberg name attached, and the way they've marketed this movie, it feels 2000s, it feels old school, kind of like an homage to some of Spielberg's sci-fi works. I got a feeling this one could surprise us all at the box office, so we'll see what ends up happening with that one. Now, next we have Scary Movie 6, and I don't think this movie's going to do all that well. The Scary Movie franchise has never been like a huge hit at the box office. I think the first was the highest grossing. It did over 200 million, I want to say, but Scary Movie interest isn't there. I think that, there's going to be the fans of the OG that show up, but getting a new audience on board with a 6th film might not be all that easy. Certainly depends on what they're going to decide to parody or not, but I'm going to go ahead and put this one kind of right around here in the, $130 million, maybe 150, but nothing crazy. It's not going to make 200 plus, in my opinion. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we've got Toy Story 5. This will do $1 billion. I am very confident in that. I'm going to put it right here. I think I'm maybe more confident. I'm more confident in Super Mario, to be honest with you, because of the worldwide appeal. Toy Story 4 kind of turned a lot of people away from Toy Story, but at the same time, Pixar's franchise is Toy Story. Both 3 and 4 made $1 billion. I don't see any reason why 5 shouldn't. It's got the June release. Families want to be there. It has generational appeal. I'll see it, even though I'm kind of iffy on Toy Story 4. We'll see how it ends up doing, but I think $1 billion is a safe bet for Toy Story 5. Next, we have Supergirl, the new DC film. Superman did around 600 million. I think this does half or less of that. The hype isn't going to be there, unfortunately. I think it's going to be hard to get audiences fully bought into DC for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. And with it being not Superman, Supergirl, that kind of cuts the viewership in half, in my opinion. And I hate that's the way that it is, but that's just probably what's going to happen to the box office. Might have a big opening push, but it is sandwiched between a lot of big releases. Moana's coming up, Spider-Man's coming up after this one, Minions. I just don't know if families are going to really go out to see this, especially when there are bigger superhero films coming out this year that people might want to save their money for. I see it doing 200 million maybe. I'm going to put it somewhere in this tier, like right around here probably. Maybe right here. I'll put it over Devil Wears Prada 2. I think the ceiling for this movie is like 350, and that'd probably be a win for it, but I could also see it doing $199 million. You know, like there's no telling. It all depends on the reviews and the rewatch value for people going back over the summer to see it. Next, we have Minions 3. And before you laugh, Minions is a box office behemoth. The first did over $1 billion. The second did $940 million. I'm putting this in the $800 and $999 million range. I think that people are going to show up in droves. It's got the fan base, and there's sort of like a meme factor to it where it becomes like a movement on TikTok. At least the last one did. And people were like going, renting out theaters, showing up, dressed up, all for TikTok. But it could have like the Minecraft effect, if you know what I mean, where it becomes like a TikTok trend to go see this movie in theaters and post about it and basically go crazy in the theater. But I think that's going to happen. Minions 3, probably going to make 850 to 900 million. This is like the franchise for Illumination. These movies print money, and I'm pretty confident this one's going to be a hit as well. Next, we have the live-action remake of Moana, a very unnecessary movie. We can all agree on that, but you got to reference two things for why this is going to be successful. The first, Moana 2 came out at the end of 2024, a sequel to the beloved animated film. It had been around 8 years since the first Moana came out, and that movie, Moana 2, did over $1 billion. The live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch comes out last year, and it's kind of shot for shot. It changes some things for sure from the animated, but it plays it safe for the most part. You got the design of Stitch down, and a lot of people showed up. Families showed up in droves. It did $1 billion. I think this kind of blends both those elements, right? Moana is already hugely successful as an animated franchise. It had like a second life on streaming when it hit Disney+. Then you got Lilo and Stitch's success, which shows that these live-action remakes still got it at the box office. People want to kind of see something safe and familiar in live-action form, and that's what you're getting here. The Rock is literally playing Maui. Again, you've got the animation of like Hey Hey and the iconic animals from this franchise, and then you got Moana. It looks like basically a picture-perfect shot-for-shot remake in a sense. I'm going to say this does $1 billion. I think it coming out July 10th, it's going to have long legs. Families are going to go see this. I'm putting it in the $1 billion club, putting it right in the middle. I think it's going to do $1 billion. And this is going to be one of the first years, I guess maybe the first since 2019, where we've had $4 to $5 billion club films that are U.S. releases. It's going to be a big year at the box office, and keeping the momentum rolling here is going to be the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's new movie. I don't think this does $1 billion. I know people will say, well, Oppenheimer did 950, and this is a bigger movie with more appeal, and I get that, but I feel like people forget Oppenheimer was attached to Barbie. Without that, Oppenheimer probably makes $200 to $300 million less, and I love that movie. It was my favorite of 2023, and arguably my favorite movie of the entire decade. Nolan still has the sauce. Dunkirk did like $720 million or something crazy, I want to say. I think this does $850 to $900 million, but I don't think it gets into that $1 billion club tier. So I'm actually going to put it right here, just shy of the $1 billion club tier, because it doesn't have the Barbie push. And even with the Barbie push, guys, Oppenheimer fell short of joining the $1 billion club. So I think it's going to be a huge financial success, but it's not going to join the highly esteemed, right, prestigious $1 billion club. But a movie with Tom Holland will. So don't you guys worry, because Spider-Man Brand New Day, which we still don't have a trailer for somehow, and I hope we get that soon, fingers crossed, will do $1 billion. I'm going to put it right here. Spidey sells tickets, guys. Spidey sells tickets.
Pay me in advance.
The two previous Tom Holland films, No Way Home and Far From Home, both did $1 billion. Spidey's a box office behemoth. He is the Marvel superhero. People are clamoring for another Spider-Man story on the big screen, and we haven't seen this version of Spider-Man since No Way Home at the end of 2021. People are going to show up in droves. This is the first MCU movie of the year, so there's going to be a anticipation for it right at the end of the summer. This is going to do big things, and I think the marketing for it's going to sell as well, with Punisher involved, Hulk, Scorpion coming back. It's going to be classic Spidey, hopefully street level. I think this movie's going to rule, and I think it's going to crush at the box office as well. Then we got Clayface. This is a DC Studios movie. It's like a body horror film, and it's low budget, so it's kind of a risk, kind of not. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm not particularly excited with the DC, logo attached to it, and with it being a horror film and that community probably wanting to show up. I could see this just getting to 200 million. So I'm going to put it back here. I think that might be a bold swing. It could do like 150, but 200 to 215 seems about right for Clayface. Because of the DC name, that alone is going to give it that extra bump. Plus you factor in the horror community and people wanting to see a superhero film that is a horror film, like a body horror film. People are probably going to show up for this, and it could surprise a lot of us, so I'll go 200 to 250 million range. Next, we have The Social Reckoning, aka The Social Network Part 2. Is it really a sequel? Not really. It's kind of just set around Mark Zuckerberg's life. I don't view this at all as a sequel to The Social Network in my opinion, but technically it is. I think it's going to do about right here, about $150 million. I mean, yeah, there could be some appeal, but this kind of movie nowadays is so catered to streaming and having a short theatrical window that more people will experience when it hits Netflix or drops on digital. That's just the name of the game. It's not, 2010 anymore where the Social Network does numbers at the box office. It is 2026, and I just don't see this one lighting up. Next, we have The Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping, based on the recent Hunger Games book. I think this movie's going to do really well. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes did over 300 million. I think like around 330. I think this does even more. You have the news out there that Jennifer Lawrence is coming back. I believe it's probably for the epilogue, but she's still going to be in the movie. It's focusing on Haymitch, who's a more well-known character. So you're getting familiar characters, whereas Ballad was, less familiar characters in a sense. It's a prequel. There's a full-on Hunger Games that the movie's based around, and the cast is all-star. Ralph Fiennes, Jesse Plemons, Elle Fanning, the list goes on and on, Kieran Culkin. I think this does 400 million. I think it does. It comes out around Thanksgiving. The Hunger Games franchise is very much alive and well, and with the success of this book and the Thanksgiving era release, I think this does 400 million. The last one almost got there. This one, with more of the push, the familiarity of characters, the big cast, probably a great marketing campaign. They already dropped a teaser. I think it does 400 million and is a smash hit for that franchise, which was a behemoth back in its day when the original 4 films were coming out. Next, we have Violent Night 2. Violent Night's a guilty pleasure for me. I enjoy it despite its flaws, but the movie's not going to make that much money, right? It's probably going to do 100 million tops, and that would be a win for it. The first movie didn't even do 100 million. Because they're so low budget, they can continue to make these, and I hope we get a trilogy. Bring it on. Next, we have the next Jumanji film. The first movie did $1 billion. The second one was in the 900 range. This one's going to dip even more. I think so much so that it might actually drop down to like 750 million. It's just been a long time. The Rock isn't as big of a star as he once was. I don't know if there's as much buzz for like Jack Black and Kevin Hart. Probably still going to be a fun family adventure, but the December slate is loaded with the next 2 movies I'm going to talk about. Of the 3 movies, the big ones in December, this is the one with the least appeal. I still think it does well though, like 700 million, so I'll put it in that tier. But the next 2 are the big ones, guys, the big ones. We got Doomsday, we got Dune Part 3. I think Doomsday is going to be the highest grossing movie of the year. The marketing campaign started over a year in advance. They're building up for it to be an event. All eyes are on this film for better or worse, right? The curiosity is there. Is it going to stink? Is it going to save Marvel? Who's going to show up? Is the nostalgia going to be real? Probably, but you got to see this in theaters. It's going to be a can't miss event that comes out around the holiday season. RDJ's back as Doom. Chris Evans is back. Probably every Marvel superhero from the century is going to show up at some point. And based on recent rumors about how the film could open, it's going to be must-see appointment cinema. All right, I'm very excited for it, even though it could really disappoint me. We'll see. I'm more curious than anything. I gotta put it at the top of $1 billion. I just think an Avengers film, we haven't seen one since 2019. That name carries a lot of weight. That's a $1 billion name right there. Pair that with the holiday season release and the superstar cast. It's going to make bank. And the final movie on this list is Dune Part 3, aka Dune Messiah, if you will. I think this is going to do less than Dune Part 2, and that might be a hot take, but hear me out. Dune Part 2 did around $714 million globally. There was high rewatch value. It was sort of action-packed. I haven't read the books, but from what I gather, this is a bit of a darker story. Might not be as high with the rewatch value. That is coming out in a very packed December where it frankly is going to get blown out of the water, box office-wise, by Doomsday. I don't think Doomsday will be a thing. Barbenheimer was an anomaly you can't replicate the success of. I think it still does 600 to 710 million, but I think it falls just short of the success of Dune Part 2, and a reference point for me is going to be Wicked and Wicked for Good. Wicked did like 780 million or something crazy like that, like 750. It was in the 700 range, and everyone thought Wicked for Good was going to do numbers, maybe even $1 billion. Well, it was a bit darker. There wasn't as much rewatch value, and it did like 400 million, I want to say. I don't even know what the final number was. It did a little less, like a couple $100 million less. I could see that happening with this movie. Pair that again with the fact that it's going head-to-head against Avengers. I think it's going to take a bit of a step down. I could be wrong. It could do 800 to 715, but I'm gonna say I'll put it like right here in the middle of that 600 to 799. I think it does, again, a little bit less, like 700 million as opposed to 715 million that Dune Part 2 did. But that is my box office prediction tier list for the year 2026. Let me know in the comments down below what tiers you would place these movies in, and of course hit that like button, subscribe into that notification bell, and be on the lookout for more videos coming very soon. But thank you guys as always for watching, and until next time, see you guys later.